And we're back at the table with this week's Line Opinion panelists. The Women Liberations Front, a national feminist organization also known as WOLF, is attempting to block new federal guidelines for schools, that's important, for schools that call for transgender people to be allowed to use bathrooms that align with their self-identified gender rather than their biological sex. Sophie Martin, let me go to you first. Issues come up often in the past. Some states have passed restrictions. We're still in this phase where we're trying to figure this out, aren't we?
It's interesting that you say in the past, because this is a really recent
That's
topic
right.
for government, for educators, et cetera. And I think what we see here is I think the very necessary but very difficult kind of struggle that comes right in advance of social change.
Yes.
And
Well said.
important social change. So, and I think that this lawsuit from the Women's Liberation Front in some ways really encapsulates that, because here we have a very committed feminist group, I think more perhaps more radicalized than many feminists are. They have a long tradition of advocating for kind of the dissolution of gender stereotypes and gender identifiers, and at the same time they look to create private spaces for women. And so here we see this kind of, these two ideals butting up against each other. And in their lawsuit, I think this is gonna get really wonky, it's good we're on PBS. In their lawsuit, they take some pains to distinguish between gender identity, and I'll say our New Mexico Supreme Court, or our New Mexico Constitution, I should say, does the same thing, between gender identity, which is what they say is a construct. Women shouldn't have to behave the way that we have always believed women should behave. Men shouldn't have to behave the way that men are expected to behave. And biological sex. And basically what they're saying is that we think that biological sex should be the determinant. Now what we see from science is that even the idea of biological sex is quite fluid. And we've heard stories of children who come out of the womb indeterminate, and the doctors and their parents make decisions for them that will affect their entire lives. Because no, it's not true that everybody comes out of the womb clearly a boy or clearly a girl. So as we develop, I think, through science and through our national and international discussions on these topics, a more sophisticated understanding of gender, sex, et cetera. I mean, I think this applies to our current discussions of race. It applies to our current discussions of many issues.
That's right.
My hope is that as we become more sophisticated in this, we become more open, more understanding of people who are not the same as us.
That's right. And in that transition, Tom, to that sophistication of understanding, it's a big pill to swallow in the meantime for a lot of people. The idea that Sophie just laid out quite brilliantly, the idea of what you identify versus how you were born, so to speak. That's a big one for people. How do we, that's going to take some time, it seems to me.
It is, yeah. And, I thought Sophie's points were spot on, especially, this is not a past issue. This is, the past is, the current. And, this is probably an issue that surfaced over the last, 5 years. And, all people don't change quite that fast as far as their opinions, their understanding, just really making sure that they know what the facts are. So, but it's a very polarizing issue, as we've seen, play out.
Is it about, let me touch on you, is it about the bathrooms? Do you see what I mean? There's something about the bathroom that sends people into orbit.
No.
As a space where we're supposed to commingle as people here with this new identity, so to speak.
Yeah, it's not, the bathroom manifests the issue. I think there are a lot of, I think there are people in the world who just can't get their mind around what's happening.
Right.
And so they're just saying, they can't get their hands around this, so they're just going to say, it's the bathroom's off limits.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, just a lack of understanding.
Default position, exactly. For a policymaker, Senator, where do you go with this? Do you know what I mean? It's not the usual thing we hear from this side of your constituents, this side from your constituents. You kind of think about it, work with your peers. This is a whole other decision process, it seems to me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, yeah. And one of the things, it shows a little crack in the GBLT community. And it's kind of interesting that someone like me would say I support Wolf's actions, but I do, because safety is a two-way street. So you've got transgendered persons in a men's bathroom, and we're concerned about freedom on that front. But then we've got the point they're making that women can suffer greater acts of violence and possibility of bullying and assault in an isolated arena. So kind of an interesting discussion there. I don't agree with Wolf's, on their website, they say gender must be abolished because gender is a part of a, male-dominated patriarchal system. This whole idea of stereotypes, it's huge. What is a man? What is a woman? I mean, we have stereotypes from the past, but I think in this new frontier, roles are different. Men, my dad, never cried. I'm crying at everything. I'm very emotional. I feel the freedom to do that. So it's very, very interesting. I think, Peter Thiel, though, openly gay billionaire, spoke at the convention. He said, transgender, this bathroom issue is really distracting us from the real issues. And I think there's some value in that, because the reality is Target has solved this problem. UNM has solved this problem. They have male, female, and they've got private stalls. So, I mean, the solution is very easy. I think the problem really is the absurdity behind some of the political actions that are taken. Gotcha. Whether it's, by executive action, the federal government coming in and saying all bathrooms must be available to transgender students. I mean, I had teachers tell me, Madison Middle School, what does this mean? What happens if a boy tells me that they're transitioned and they're in the girls' bathroom and so I mean there's a lot,
That's real.
APS,
That's a real thing.
APS. So the absurdity of actions, and then this ideology that goes too far. So for instance, my daughter-in-law is a doctor, and she was told at some of the hospitals, please don't call your husband a husband because it offends some people. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'd fight back on that one.
It's ridiculous, immature. So grow up, America, in some ways.
Alicia, maybe it's not the bath, it's the school thing. This is where America comes together, right? Our young people, this is where our initial friction up against each other. The idea that, Senator wouldn't be alone on the idea that if a boy is just saying, I'm in transition, whether we believe him or not, whether we know this is fact or not, that by law, literally, that boy can walk into that young woman's room. Is that okay? For some parents, they may have an issue with that.
I think it's interesting that they brought up the fact of sexual assault, because I feel like if someone is going to commit sexual assault, they have a propensity to commit sexual assault. I don't know that it's because somebody has walked into the bathroom and there's an opportunity in place. But what we do see here is that there's more evidence of transgender people being physically assaulted when they are forced to go to the bathroom that relates to their genitalia.
Right.
I mean,
that's the other side of it.
That's the other side of it. And the other thing that really concerns me is creating that third bathroom system. It reminds me of, on a larger scale, obviously, blacks only, whites only water fountains and restrooms. It's further stigmatizing those folks, and I'm not sure that is the solution either.
Right, right. Is the schools a place to start? I mean, there's an obvious place to start, but in your mind, is it okay to start at schools, or should it be somewhere else to try to figure this out?
Well, I think they have started in other places. It's just that the schools are being highlighted more because it's probably a bit more contentious. But let's face it, we're going to have to do it in the schools. It has to be addressed.
Right. So let me finish with you in about 30, 45 seconds. Looking down the road, we're at the beginning of something here. Do we have a world with third bathrooms? Is that the solution? Is it? Where does this all play out?
I think it will be the solution in some places. I think we're going to see a lot of kind of imperfect, let's see how we can make it work kinds of things in the meantime. But I do want to say this: the thought of an 8-year-old boy who is not transgender, announcing, I'm going to use the girls' room, given the tremendous social pressure that there is still to conform to gender norms, seems pretty unlikely to me. And so I think we're seeing an awful lot of fear about little kids, middle school and high school as well, I understand, but about kids. And we're talking about stigmatization of kids.
Yeah.
These are not predators, these are kids.
Yep, the grand American experiment goes on. We'll see how this all plays out. That's all the time we have. Thanks for being here, guys. Good stuff this week, for sure. I'm Gene Grant. Thanks for joining us this week for New Mexico in Focus. And as always, we appreciate your time and effort to stay informed and engaged. We'll see you next week in Focus.
Funding for New Mexico in Focus provided by the McCune Charitable Foundation and the Nalita E. Walker Fund for KNME-TV. the KNME TV Endowment Fund, and viewers like you.